What's up, guys? It's Gary. So, we got another free mower, and I'm not gonna lie, this one looks like it overheated a little bit. So, I'm actually really excited. This has the transaxle that I've been really wanting. It's got the 3-speed manual transaxle with the high and low range. It's a Craftsman GT5000 or something like that garden tractor. So we got a nice set of 5-lug garden tractor wheels and tires. Actually has a Kohler 25 horse Kohler V-twin in it too. So I got a few ideas, but really we're just gonna get it back to the house and see if it runs, see if it drives. It has a mower deck with it too, so we'll basically go through it and oh, the road. We'll go through it and we'll see what we can do with it. It's another project. I'll probably be cutting it up and doing some crazy stuff with it, so it's actually quite a challenge getting it up on this truck. If you go back a few videos, you can see me trying to get my hot rod tractor up on the back of this thing, and it involves some seriously steep ramps and a come along, and yeah, get it done, you know, any way I can. I got this truck to be a truck, and you know, I didn't really think about the actual practicality of having a bed that's like 6 feet off, well, 5 feet off the ground. But yeah, so anyway, I'm rambling on as I usually do, so let's get this thing back to the house and go through it and see what it does. Alright, so we have a 2006 Craftsman GT5000 garden tractor. What makes it a garden tractor? Well, it has a heavier duty frame, much heavier, thicker steel frame on it. Different design than like the LT2000 chassis that mine started out as. The engine and transaxle are also specific or more specific to the garden tractor. So it has a 25 horse Kohler Command V twin. And the best part, the reason why I really wanted it, is the transaxle. So these were available with either a hydrostatic or a manual transaxle. This, of course, has the manual transaxle. So you can see it has 5-lug garden tractor wheels, and it has the 3-speed H-pattern manual, which is really cool. And it has a high and low range, selectable high-low range setup on it. And I've always wanted to build something with one of those transaxles. So we will, first thing we're just going to do is get it in there, see if we can get it running and driving. It actually came with a mower deck. It's actually in pretty good shape too. So my plan is to just get this thing operational and get the mower deck back on it and see what it does. Now you're probably wondering what the heck happened here. Well, the guy told me that when he got it, it had a mouse nest. Well, he didn't know it had a mouse nest, and he just ran it and it caught on fire from the mouse nest. But I don't know if the mouse nest was actually under the engine shroud or under the hood, just under the hood, because he said it was fine after that, and that it still ran fine, and the coil didn't burn or anything. And you can see there really isn't much damage to the motor. It's actually got much less damage to the engine than to the hood. Just looks like the shroud or the blower housing there, a little bit of meltage. The breather is melted, and the valve cover's not even melted. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that might be fine. But yeah, let's get it in there and we'll see what it does. Looks like it has no gas in it, which is a good thing. Question is, does it have any gas in the carburetor? Oh, got some, there we got some more livage in here. Oh, you know what? Might want to open this up, see if there's any mouse nest remnants under the shroud. Well, it kind of looks like it's clear. All right, well, I'm gonna take this blower housing off anyway, just to make sure, just to see what it looks like under here. Yeah, look at that. The inside of it's not melted or anything. I just wanted to take a look, you know? So like the coil wire. Probably could put a little bit of electrical tape. It's all fine. And see, that is why we take it off. Funny, I didn't even really see that at first. I was just looking at the other side to see if it was melted. So that's the deal right there. Now I think this one probably had a mouse nest. Actually, just, I don't know how the guy could have missed this. I don't know how this could have been a thing, but it seems like it had a mouse nest under the hood on the outside of the engine, because obviously the entire hood is destroyed and burned up, but the inside portion of the engine is not hurt at all. It's actually only a little bit on the outside. So that's probably what went on there. But this is what you typically see. This is the kind of mouse nest that will, at the very least, overheat your engine. Because of course, being an air-cooled engine, that fan there has to force air down through the cylinder. So hopefully this wasn't continued to run like this. I have a feeling this is a more recent mouse nest from when it was sitting in his yard. You know, he said it ran fine, but we'll only know that when we fire it up. Hopefully it doesn't have like a blown head gasket or a popped valve seat, which are the two common failures when you overheat one of these engines, whether it doesn't matter what it is, Briggs, Kohler, single, twin. They usually pop valve seats if they're severely overheated, or if you're lucky, just pop a head gasket. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get that cleared out. Might even be a carcass in there by the looks of it. Alright, I want to see if there's any fuel in the bowl. Should be a drain. This bowl does not have a drain, so I'm going to ignore that and just put some fuel in it and see what it does. Get out of here. What do you think? Get off of here. Get moving now. What are you thinking? What are you fucking thinking? Get out of here. Alright, battery's hooked up. Let's see if it turns over. Appears there's no gas in it, which is actually good, so just want to see it. Alright, nothing. I got no power at all. Wait, I got fuel solenoid. I believe there's a neutral safety. There should start without sitting on the seat, but got no PTO. Oh my lord. Alright, well, I'm finding some funky stuff. So the PTO plug's not plugged in. So initially I say, well, that's the problem. These usually need to have everything plugged in because everything goes through everything, like the safety switches and all that. But look at this. 2 pins have been removed. Test lightage, yep, got test lightage. Now let's see what we got here. That's our power in. Okay. Oh, that's key on. Yeah, we got switch power, so we got power coming out of our switch. See that? The white wire coming out of here, so we're not getting the power to where it needs to go. Let me see if I got power actually making it to the starter solenoid. I doubt it. The way these mowers are all set up is that power is able to come out of the ignition switch, but then it goes through all the safety switches. It goes through each and every switch, basically. There's a seat safety switch, a clutch safety switch, and it knows whether or not the PTO is on, so it goes through that as well. And there is, you know, it could be a multitude of reasons why it's not getting power to where it needs to go. But the way that PTO switch is messed with is leading me to think that something's going on there. So if this is, so those are the 2 white wires. So let's see if we got power going through there. Oh, okay. Well, that's weird. They just jam those in there for some reason. So those wires are actually connected. That's this wire and that wire. Alright, so we got power making it to the PTO switch. Let's plug it in and see if we got power making it out of the PTO switch. Because remember, the PTO switch, it has to have, it's basically also a safety switch. So if the PTO is on, it won't let you start the engine. Okay. Alright, so we know we got power there. Let's see if we got power coming out. We do not. We do not have power making it through the PTO switch. So, let's go get the PTO switch off the other machine that I know works. See if it's the same. Alright, so there's a lot of weird things going on with the wiring on this thing. For some reason, and I don't know, I never really encountered this. Key on, this relay is actually activating. I'm not getting anything with ignition, starter activation. But this relay comes on with key on. I'm not hearing a fuel solenoid with key on. However, it could just be stuck from gummed up fuel in there. I got power coming out of the ignition switch for start, but it's ending at the PTO switch. It's going through that white, it comes out of a white wire out of the ignition switch, goes through the PTO, but it's not going through the PTO. It's not coming out of the other side. I tried the other PTO switch, and it was the same thing, I think. So I actually just put that jumper wire. That's my next thing I'm going to try. I jumper wired the two white wires there to see if that does anything. But the other weird thing is when that relay is activated in key on position, I got power coming through my seat safety switch. Which is also kind of strange, having a 12 volt constant going through here. Now obviously somebody has put them together here to bypass the switch, but usually that would only be, I don't know, it's kind of weird the way this thing's all set up. I'm used to having safety switches typically be ground, and it'll ground out. You'll have your, if you get off it, it'll ground out to shut the engine down. But in that case, there's 12 volts going through that. So let's see if it turns over with this jumper wire on the PTO switch. There we go. So, for whatever reason, our power is not making it through the PTO switch. But what's weird is it's not making it through the other PTO switch either. The power goes through the PTO switch, then it makes it to the clutch switch, because I did not have any power at all going to the clutch switch. Now that I bypassed the PTO wire here with no switch on it, I got my power down there. Which obviously that means that switch is working, I think. Yeah, because it wasn't doing anything without that plugged in. Now, the question is, why am I losing power here? It's got to be the PTO switch. Alright, well, I'm losing patience, and my best conclusion is that there's got to be something wrong with that PTO switch, but it's kind of weird because the other PTO switch that I know works on the other tractor is doing the same thing. But I'm just going to move on from here. I'm just going to put this jumper wire in here, and that's going to be how we're going to test it. I'll figure it out later, but let's just move on, see if this thing runs and drives. As I was pouring gas in it, right when I started pouring, I said, you know what? It's probably going to start pouring out of a leak. And I went ahead and poured like a half a gallon in this, probably, at least. And it just started pouring out immediately after. And so what we have here is somebody's failed attempt at a grommet made out of silicone. You see that orange deal there? And you can see where it's dripping is supposed to be where the line is going. So there is nothing connected to the tank, and I just started pouring fuel in it. Well, I should have paid attention to that first. Oh, yeah. Good news. The old fuel tank from the Husqvarna tractor has exactly what we need. That should be the same. All right, I got it in there. But does it still leak? It seems like it's still leaking. I don't know unless I put a little bit of fuel in it, so. As they say, here goes nothing. Just put a splash in there. Yep, it's still freaking leaking. Son of a bitch. Damn it. Alright, now I remember this little tank having a crack in it, but I looked all over and I can't find a crack, so I'm just going to see if it leaks. We're just going to put fuel in it. It's connected up. I don't have any action from my fuel shutoff solenoid. So I'm hoping I just don't hear it and maybe it's slow to react. Somebody might have also already bypassed it, but you'd still be able to hear it clicking even if that was the case. Doesn't seem like I'm getting any throttle here. Yeah, it's working. Actually, it feels like it's the cable just pulling. Yeah, that should be working. Feels like it's working. Keep going for the ignition switch over here, but it's over here. Alright, I'm going to say I probably don't have any fuel shutoff solenoid. Yep. Fuel shutoff solenoid is not getting power, so we'll have to address that next. Now this one has a 1-barrel carburetor on it. They're very specific to these Kohlers. There's an access port up there. Probably, I think maybe the main or the pilot jets might be accessible through there. Like you blow it out, kind of like the Briggs 2-barrel. But the main thing, the big thing about these carburetors is it has an accelerator pump. They don't all have an accelerator pump, but that's what this, or my finger's not, I'm trying to look through the screen. So that's the accelerator pump right there. You can see it feeds basically a vacuum line to it, and a little diaphragm in there. Those do get hard too, and you know, they need to be replaced after a while. Also a line right there as well. But yeah, I'm going to get that open. And that also makes it more annoying to take the bowl off too, because you got that and that. So actually I'm probably just going to have to take it off. Well, I was not planning on taking the top part out here. See that it's 2 pieces? And while there's the main jet, by the way, the removable main jet. Now the interesting thing is, what kind of sucks is, look how much crap is inside there. So unfortunately, we're probably going to have to pull this carburetor anyway, because there's obviously going to be a lot of junk in there. And actually, this might be why the solenoid is stuck. But let's go ahead and separate these two, and we'll see what it looks like there. Alright, well, I figured while we're here, we might as well at least check, see if we got power to this solenoid, because if it does have power, then we obviously have bigger issues inside the carburetor. And it does have power, so we don't have to worry about what I was going to do, which, well, I'm not even going to say what I was going to do, because we don't have to do it. What we do have to do now, unfortunately, is get that carburetor off and go inside there, and it's probably going to be a mess. Alright, so this is what we were looking at before. I did just wire brush that off, but there's probably a bunch of gunk in there. Obviously, the main jet's large, so it's not going to be gummed up. The pilot jet, the low-speed jets, are probably clogged. Actually, yeah, that I can see through that as well. But anyway, here's your fuel shutoff solenoid. So the way that works on this particular carburetor is it goes right to where the main jet is, It actually just shuts that off. It shuts off the orifice right here, which does not allow any fuel flow. Now, and this also was not stuck, so it was just a really quiet operation, I guess. Sometimes they're really, you can really hear them like a solenoid, like that. But it wasn't really gummed up, so it was probably moving. I just didn't notice it. Probably would have been able to feel it if I put my hand on it. But if you do have one of these if you do have a problem with one of these, like it does not seem to be working or it's not getting power, these are just basically considered an anti-backfire device, so that when you turn the engine off, it doesn't allow fuel anymore, which stops it from possibly backfiring. Typically that happens on mower engines through the exhaust, not the intake, but that's what that's for. And you can actually just cut this off. Just literally, most of these you could just take a pair of wire cutters like dikes and just snip that guy right off, right at as close as possible, and it renders it useless, and it'll be fine. I'm not going to do that though, because it does seem to be operational, or at least, you know what, I checked for power, but I didn't check to see if the solenoid's actually working. Before I put it back together, I will check to see if we're actually getting operation. But for now, I am going to at least pop the bowl off the carburetor and see if there's anything that I have to address in there. All right, well, there wasn't really much to see with taking the carburetor apart. It actually wasn't bad in there at all. I didn't end up popping the top plate off of it where I think the pilot jets or orifices are, because it was going to rip the gasket and I don't have anything to replace it, so I'm not going to even take it apart. I think maybe, well, you know what, the fuel solenoid was sticky. So hopefully I don't regret not just cutting it off, but it was sticking a little bit, and it seems like it's good. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to try it again. I also maybe didn't have quite enough fuel in this, so it should definitely have enough fuel in it now, providing that fuel pump's working. Another thing I didn't really check because they rarely go out, but had some fuel in the bowl, but not a lot. Let's see. Oh yeah, I got my fuel solenoid now. You can hear it, it's a big difference. See that? pump diaphragm. Alright, that thing runs freaking good. It runs amazingly. It may or may not need an accelerator pump diaphragm. I mean, you're really not, they're not really meant to just go, wah, wah. It seems to run really good though. So other than that tiny little bit of hesitation on a full whack of the throttle, which if I am going to use this engine for other things, and you know what I mean by that, then I will be addressing that diaphragm, and I'll also probably be trying to get a bigger main jet maybe for it. But for now, that sounds really good. Even the stock muffler sounds good. It doesn't have any loose baffles in it or anything. That kind of whirring sound, that was this guy, I think, rubbing on the shroud. Because I noticed it had some marks on it where it rubbed, and when I put it back on, it seemed like it was close. You hear that? I mean, obviously I'm pushing down on it, but that kind of whirring sound is all that was. Alright, so now we are losing daylight and it's raining, so I don't know what we're going to do next, but I do want to see if it drives more than I want to see if it mows. Mowing is going to be, I'm going to have to put the deck back on, which is kind of an annoying thing. But we can see if it drives if I can free up the clutch. I don't imagine it's much to that. It's probably just got some rusty linkage or something. Okay, so it appears that that there is the clutch. Wow, it's really interesting, right? How it comes from a vertical shaft. That guy there goes there to a horizontal shaft. So, however that pivots, and I do believe that, wow, so that's the, what is actually stuck? What moves over there? I'm gonna have to just do this without holding a camera. She's good now. I hit her with some WD. Well, actually, I first grabbed it and I freed it up. It just went. And then I loosened the bolt a little bit, which I'm gonna now retighten, and hopefully it's still good. So I loosened it up and I lubed it. Might have a seized bushing or something. Let's see, I'll tighten her back up. And yeah, see, it needs to come apart because it's probably got a, yeah, it gets right about there, it gets stuck. Probably has a bushing in there and it's probably seized or rusted, so for right now, just loosen it up slightly. And she's good. So that'll work. Oi! Oh boy, I hope the seat's not soaked underneath. Alright, well, let's see what she does. Beautiful. Got a clutch. Alright, let's I guess down would be low. Oh, it was already in gear. Okay. Low. Reverse. Oh yeah, there we go. Alright, well, low is a bit low, so let's go to high. Reverse. There we go. basically out of daylight. First gear. Alright. We got second gear. Let's try top gear. Can't see anything here. It's top gear. Oh yeah. I ain't even revving her out. We got a machine. Actually, you know what? Let's get it over in the light. I'll put you out of the machine and we'll try low range. Oi! Yep, low range, pretty low. That's pretty sweet. All right, guys, well, that's going to have to do it for this one. I did want to get the deck on it and test that out, but it's like 9 o'clock. Lost daylight. It's Saturday night. I want the video out on Sunday, so that's going to have to do it. I'm actually really happy. The thing doesn't make any funny noises. The engine runs pretty much perfect. The transaxle works as it should. The guy told me it actually had low hours, but there's no hour meter on it, so there's no way to really know that. But judging by the overall condition of the machine, other than it having been burned, I believe it. It seems like it's a really good machine. I mean, underneath the transmission looks brand new. So if you guys like this kind of content, I mean, this was a boring one, really. We're just getting a mower running, but I actually don't know if I want to cut that thing up or not. I kind of like it as it is. Like, it seems like it'd be a really good tractor to just have to move stuff around, pull stuff, maybe actually mow the lawn with. I know I have the other one I built for mowing the lawn, but I like this thing. I did get it mainly just to take the transaxle, or at least to take that general rolling chassis with that transaxle and build something off of it. And I might still do that. But for right now, I'm going to work on it a little bit more, see if it mows. I have no doubt it mows. I hear the PTO works on it, or, you know, you can hear it clicking. And the deck is in fairly good shape, so I will be messing with it some more before I do anything else with it. But anyway, if you like this, subscribe, like the video, comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.